All right, we are live. So, first thing to get out of the way, there is a survey that I need you guys to answer about the music. I just want to make sure everyone's actually okay with the music before I keep it. I just pinned it to the top. Then, I'm still a little sick, so if I have a coughing fit, I'll try to mute the mic. Speaking of the mic, I diddled with it, so I don't know if it's loud enough or not. So let me know. What else? I don't really got anything off the top of my head, so let's begin. Oh yeah, I did switch around my office. If you couldn't tell, the fish are still back there, but this is just a little bit more feng shui for me, I guess, is a good way to put it. All right, so Hitman has a bleeding dick from what I've read. Got a new pump, kind of injured, somehow act through the recovery. Now I'm taking an extra day off just in case the injury is not an injury, but there is an injury. Okay. Basically, I'm uncut and the top of the foreskin is dried out well, along with the frenulum being white and ribbed as well, kind of like it's tearing. So Neosporin, this happened because of expansion was probably too much and couldn't keep up with. Yes, 14 centimeters in the new 2 1/8. So I wouldn't even say it's from like the tube potentially. If you have dried, cracked skin, that can be a variety of causes, but think about it this way: if we're going to be pumping and stretching our dicks a lot, we're going to potentially break the skin very easily. So one of the most important things I do is like I moisturize my dick 2 to 3 times a day just because of PE, but also just because my hands are dry from the winter, so my dick is getting a bit more of abrasion from it. So in general, keep your skin moisturized as much as possible, especially down there. Now for the frenulum cracks, again, you got some pretty significant dry skin there, so I would honestly take a week off, let it fully heal before you start doing stuff again, and then make sure you use a lot of moisturizer. As for healing, you don't really need anything. You don't even need Neosporin. I would use something like Aquaphor or Vaseline to just keep the moistness, but Neosporin's not going to really do all that much in that case. And hello, Destroyer. Hope you had a good Christmas. I mean, it was all right. If I wasn't sick, it would have been a lot better. That's for sure. I was able to stick to my diet relatively well. I didn't gain any weight over the past 2 days, so. Eddie, glad I'm back. I do PE for me and my girl, but taking leaks in the urinal with no dividers with insane big D energy is priceless. I mean, as a fun reason or like benefit of it, trust me, like I usually have to downplay my bulge a bit, but like the amount of confidence you get and like just like the social power you get from it kind of really just enlightens you and gives you so much confidence. I don't know a really good way to put it. Oh, Jot is taking off. Happy holidays, DJ Hard Smile. And you're recommending Girth routine. You take a week break every 6 to 8 weeks. Does this include feeder sets or just expansion from the week break? So you could do feeder sets. That recommendation was before I even came up with the idea of feeder sets or, implemented them. But yeah, you can do them more than likely than not. It's just like there's a chance it won't be as effective as I would like it to be in that time. And I'm just playing with my light right now. But what am I thinking? Sorry, guys. I'm a little rusty and a little sick still. But yeah, feeder sets are fine during your deconditioning break more than likely. Or, deload week 0. Hope you're well with Girth training. As long as you're hitting your strain and expansion targets post pump, is that all that needed? For gains, no deconditioning necessary if you're hitting strain. So the only thing I would actually add is some kind of like dilation after the fact. So that'd be like a cock ring afterwards to help train that bigger shape. And then, the feeder sets will help a lot. But like if you're hitting your strain metrics, the only reason why you would be taking a deconditioning break is if you can't get that expansion consistently within 20 to 30 minutes. But like it's helpful if you are stuck to take a break, but like you don't need to plan for a break as like religiously as I put in my books. Okay. So, Dacitorius lumistorius. I think I got that. I posted an article on Reddit called "No Penises Haven't Gotten Long." Could you talk about it? Let me just do a little glimpse because I might have read it already. No penises have not gotten longer. I mean, okay, that didn't come up when I searched it. So if you have like an actual link, you can post it in chat and hopefully it doesn't get caught. But basically, if what I think you're saying is that penises have not gotten bigger, and what's really happening is that a lot of bad science has been done where they were not really doing randomized testing, so like it would just be pushing to the above average. And additionally, with like the advent of social media, it makes it very easy to find the top 1%, if not the top 0.01%. So like it would seem like there's just a bunch of gigantic fucking dicks, but it's really only like maybe 1,000 guys that are just posting their dicks very often on Reddit, for example, and that's just making dicks seem bigger than they really are. But post the article if you can. Mario, I can't order Vigor here in Germany, so I need to get another source. Which component of Vigor is the most important for erectile function? I can't pack all of that, only one thing. So like L-citrulline's the base. So L-citrulline and malic acid together is going to be the main working drivers, but like everything else in Vigor is going to take it over the top. So for example, we have a variant of L-arginine. I don't think it's vasodrive. Let me check. I gotta look at my subs. So let's see, it's nitrocyanine, my bad. That's going to be like an L-arginine base, so it's going to hit your system faster, and it's going to be a little bit more potent than L-arginine on its own. But like if you're just trying to get the benefits of vasodilation, you're going to just want L-citrulline. And I'm trying to figure out how to put my mic back on. Okay, Hitman. Saw your website that you sell cream that helps healing and moisturizing. Do you still produce it, or is that not a thing anymore? So we do still sell it. It's handmade. It's going to be overkill for what you need. I have my assistant make it now because he's a bit of a better chef than me when it comes to that stuff. But in general, any top of the line lotion is going to be good for PE. Like I still use Gold Bond Men's because like I'll literally slather my entire dick with it. And, you know, I just go through a lot of it that way. Nacho. I used male hanger for extending, got 1 hour up to 5.5 stretch flaccid for 3 pounds of tension, starting from 4.75 after extending. Turtled to 2 inches cold. What's wrong? It sounds like overwork, even though, so like think about it this way. You're able to stretch that much, but like once your body finally got figured out what was going on, it's like, okay, so we're basically being pulled apart here. I'm going to tighten up, so that way it's going to be harder to pull against. It's a stress response. So what you need to do is probably do only about 30 to 40 minutes today or tomorrow. See how that response happens again. And then you can reassess based off of that. But like, if you just started with hanging and you haven't done like excessive manual stretching, you're only going to be able to do like 20 to 30 minutes at the start. Let's see, Rooney. I have low libido lately and I've got my hormones checked, been kegling stretches and Kegel exercise. I've been trying to get it back, but no luck. I'm 27. What do you recommend? So first, excuse me, your libido does change throughout your life. I am a lot less horny now at 27 than I was at like 20, but I'm also a lot busier. So like I'm not as like easily distracted. Then if your hormones came back normal, there might be like another kind of vitamin deficiency, particularly like vitamin D, that could cause this issue. Kegling is not going to be really doing anything for libido unless you meant erection quality. But like it's normal to have ebbs and flows in your libido. It's more so like if you feel fatigued tired all the time, like loss in muscle mass. That's when you really got to start paying attention more to your hormones more than anything else. So Felix, I'm looking at the wrong chat again, am I? God damn it. Sorry, guys. Okay, we did that one. Tower. Felix, if one were to start doing PE like 5 years old, growing to 6 inches by the start of puberty, do you think it would grow anymore, assuming his natural size was supposed to be the end? It's not the same kind of pathway. So like there's the hormonal pathway of growth, and then there's the what we do, which is going to be like a stress response, passive healing growth. So like his androgen receptors should still be pretty, how to say, sensitive. So like he should still grow, but it's not going to be like, okay, a multiplier effect. He's probably just going to grow whatever extra inch or two he was going to do during puberty. So like, sure, you might have a hog, but it's not going to be like he's 15 inches now. That being said, don't be doing PE to toddlers. That sounds like pedophilia, and you know, like in premise, it would enhance puberty, but don't do it to kids that don't have the ability to consent, right? You know, like. Okay, Hitman. I'll take your recommendation, not pump for a week. My question about compression hang, does it? I know it doesn't necessarily affect expansion like that, but I'm still able to do that. You could try it, see how much it irritates your skin. It's not going to be really gripping the frenulum, so you should be fine. And then Eddie, for guys with dry D issues, I use organic coconut oil on nuts and D. It's amazing. So I have just about an empty jar of coconut oil over there. I actually need to pick up more. That's what I mainly use for pumping because it doesn't dry, right? So like you can get pretty lubed up for like 30 to 40 minutes and it just works well. It's a good moisturizer. So yeah, I highly agree. Okay, 0. IDK weather, I'm stuck, but I'm still hitting strain 26 minutes total. And 2 minutes of interval of 10 sets, inches of mercury. Hard to tell because Girth games are so slow. Exactly. So what I like to do is I like to watch how big I am with a cock ring on as well. Because like the more that tissue stretches, the bigger it's going to be at its assisted size. So it's going to be like your squat belt. When you know, squat, you can probably get 10 to 20 more pounds while wearing a squat belt than not. So like, when you were talking about your natural erection, it's going to be smaller than that, but if you're gaining a lot of size with a cock ring on, that means you're actually stretching the tissues, and then it's just going to take a bit for like you to be able to push enough of pressure out to make your natural dick that big. So like I just have 2 metrics going. Okay, hello Super Beady. The James Gunn Superman teaser dropped, what, like a week ago. I finally found a routine that I could do daily. I want to see if I could have good results. If you can rate it, I search a lot, mainly on your videos and Hank's vids. So like, I'm all for experimentation. My main thing is like, we can get to the point where it's so overcomplicated that if we're not careful, we're just going to make it impossible to grow. So like, I have a relatively complicated routine, but like, it's my day job. Most of the biggest gainers I know actually did manual stretches and some kind of pumping. And that's actually all you really need. Anything else is just going to make it come in faster or make your routine shorter because you're doing more efficient work. Okiwano, I heard you said that you didn't like Total Man cups, if I remember correctly. You do. Can you tell me why? So they're too fucking long. Basically, I have a used vacuum bell right here. Give me a second. So if you don't have like a particularly good valve, which Total Man really doesn't, but that's fine. If it works, it works. You're going to start developing an air pocket as air slowly starts leaking in, right? So if there's an extra inch of space here, you can just get an even bigger air pocket. And then what happens with that is that it just literally puts all the pressure on your glands. So you can get some huge fucking glands doing something like that. But like when the glands or the The bell is literally, you know, a third of your shaft. It makes it very difficult to get a good seal in my experience. And then it just comes down to the garbage sleeves he gives you. It's not even like a silicone base from what I can tell. And like as soon as I try to use it, it ripped. And that's why I really have issues with Total Man, because like the only good thing he has is the bells. And like I'm saying some slanderous shit right now, but this is my opinion. And a lot of people like his bells. I personally dislike his bells, and that's fine. Like Perv really likes the bells. I know a few of my other like vendor partners, if you want to call them that, like his bells, but I can't stand them. So not your business. What do you think of marathon pumping? A lot of talk about it on Thunder's Place, basically deforming the tunica. It's not getting any rest. It's very advanced and dangerous though. So the problem is like, since we're dealing with a lot of lymphatic buildup, you're not going to actually be building a lot of expansion in the tunica albuginea. Me and Hank differ on this, but like he has never pumped as long as I have, so he's never really seen the same kind of edema. So what I'm talking about, and I do this almost every stream, r/pumping, you're going to see some really bloated dicks, and that's what marathon pumping is going to do. So you're just going to fill the space between the skin and the fascia of the penis with a lot of water essentially, and that's not going to actually stretch out the tunica. So if you want to do something like that, you're actually better off pumping up to a dilated state and then using a cock ring to stay in that shape as long as possible, but then you actually trap edema with it. So like you could realistically only be in a dilated state for like at most 40 minutes to an hour twice a day without it like just being a ball of edema and fucking up your pelvic floor from the chronic pressure. But no, like I know what you're talking about. I used to try to do stuff like that. It's just, it's tedious. It's hard. And like, it always messes up your erection quality for the next week. So, okay. Hold on, Kenny. I know, wait. I think he said something else. Didn't he say something else? Oh, well. Hold on, I skipped John Doe. Okay. I've been doing a lot of research on deloads, long breaks, but I haven't found any in-depth explaining it on yours or Hank's channel or Reddit. Okay, so I don't even know if I have a good video on that. But basically the idea is we're avoiding strength adaptation. Right, so strength adaptation is going to be what's going to be limiting gains, because let's say you start hanging at 5 pounds. If we try to increase it 2.5 pounds every month, excuse me, there's going to be a point in that year where we'll be hanging 15 pounds off our dick, and it's going to be extremely unreasonable to continuously do that. And I also noticed that there's a bit of like a exponential growth of strength. So like you could be doing 15 pounds fine, but like you'll notice that, oh shit, I need 20 now, and oh shit, I'm going to need 25 like in 2 weeks or so, because the tissue just keeps getting stronger and stronger. It also causes a bit of a nervous system response where it's in this chronically stressed tight state. So that's one of the reasons why we don't teach heavy stuff. Now for the breaks, the way to like remove strength adaptation is just by not stretching the dick. So like the longer you don't stretch the dick, the less strength the collagen will have, and it's actually going to start remodeling to be weaker because it doesn't need the tissue there. So I guess that would be an avenue why we might lose size when we stop PE. But in general, we can get some ridiculously strong dicks. Like, I don't know if you've seen Buddhist monks hang like 100-pound rocks off their dick, but like we're basically doing that in a more controlled fashion here. So if we take the breaks, limit how much weight we use, we can basically go between the 5 to 15 pounds safe range that I call it, without having to like really overwork the tissues, and then gains are technically limitless at that point. Okay, Kenny, I noticed while massaging the base I had a lot of tightness, and I want to thank you. 8.1, 6.2 girth. I started with double long daddy and little results. Thank you. You are welcome. The tightness at the base. So like if you did heavy hanging, that would probably be the cause. I could see coupling with like big base pumping. So like you had a big tube causing a lot of pressure. By the way, there's no music. Are you sure? Can you guys hear it now? Let me know. I need to like set it up as its own thing. But anyway. So tactic, what routine can I follow to keep my D looking normal, aesthetically pleasing without the force and increasing as I continue PE? This isn't about being circumcised, but I am circumcised. So if you're circumcised, you won't really gain that much foreskin. And like most of the time, you will actually lose skin tightness if you're cut. So like if you really don't want to gain skin, don't use like an apex extender or any kind of extender, because that's going to help stretch the skin. Use a hanger instead. And then like if you use a pump sleeve, that's going to keep your ball sack from getting pulled in, therefore your ball sack won't stretch. Then discoloration, is that anything about that? But like if we're talking about discoloration, you just want to limit how long you're under pressure. So like your max is going to be like 5 minutes. Come out, massage the skin, go back in, massage the skin again. But if you do that, you might actually grow more skin because you're stimulating that collagen, right? But again, like you're not going to get like significant overhang. If anything, a little bit of loose skin goes a long way with sensation for both you and your partner. And glad you're feeling better, Grant. I'm not feeling that much better, but you know, I'm able to talk. So okay, let me see if there's actually music going real quick. Oh, I hear it. And it says desktop audio is going. So like if you guys can't hear it, that's because it's too quiet on my end, but I don't want to have it drown me out. So Kenny, how do I get rid of my fat pad? I'm 5'8", 218 pounds. Well, there's a lot of ways to lose weight, but it really just comes down to how much food you're eating versus how much energy you're burning. So like you can increase your cardio to like, you know, get an extra 200 and 300 calories burnt. Then cut like one snack a day and you'll end up actually be burning like 1 pound a week just with simple math like that. Now, if you're looking for crazy changes, you need to like really tighten up your diet. For example, I lost, what am I at? 22 pounds in the past 6 to 8 weeks by just switching to a fish-based, rice-based diet. So like I cut out all my fats, and then I also started taking a compound called retatrutide that keeps me less hungry. So that way I am basically in 1,000 calorie deficit almost every single day, if not more. And I barely really notice it with the hunger response. I'm definitely more fatigued, but it's manageable. But like fat pad is going to be genetic as well. Like I'm still relatively up there, but my fat pad's sub half an inch at this point, I believe. I haven't measured in a while, but like I was just at half an inch 10 pounds ago, so I would assume I lost about another 1/4 inch. That'd be insane. I gotta double check what I'm saying. But in general, it's all in the diet, it's all in the exercise and your lifestyle around it that's gonna help you lean out. So Mario, is fibrosis in the corpus cavernosum and tunica reversible? Like if you develop a venous leak due to it, is it reversible? Okay, I'm not sure about the venous leak, but fibrosis is very fixable. So that's like the basis of physiotherapy, right? So like if you do massage mechanics to a tissue, it breaks down fibrous buildup. And then as you stretch it in the, you know, correct moment pattern, that fibrosis breaks up even more, and then it heals in the correct shape. And that's the basis of like posture correction and physiotherapy. So we can do the same thing with PE. I've had some success with this on my own. I had a little bit of patch of fibrosis from excessive masturbation right after using the Bathmate. And this was like a year or two of doing it. I had like, you know, literally a finger patch from where my dick gripped my shaft. All I did was I started doing massage mechanics. And it broke down within 4 to 6 weeks completely. There's nothing left of it. So the only real way you can get fibrosis from PE is by significantly overdoing it for weeks to months at the time, or getting injured significantly and then not letting it heal correctly. Okay, Diddy. Excuse me, guys. I've been pumping 2 to 4 times. Wait. So he's been pumping twice a day, 4 5-minute sets at 10 inches of mercury for the past 3 days. I noticed a buildup that looks like edema in the foreskin, but None on the rest of the shaft. How can I prevent it? Edema is going to happen. What I would tell you to do, if you have significant edema, you don't pump that second session, and then it should be flushed out by the rest of it. What you really should be doing is, like, on the second session of the day, you use lower pressure, so that way you're just dilating the tissue, not overworking the tissue, and that's what actually causes a bit of the edema response. Okay, Hitman. Organic aloe for face and body, 96%. So he's telling me that he's looking at aloe, like aloe vera. That's perfectly fine. The only real issue I have with aloe vera is it's a little too sticky. So, like, don't use it for PE, but it's going to keep your skin very well moisturized. Okay, Ali. I started PE 2 months ago, going for Girth. I just wanted to ask if it's really worth it, or will I waste hours of my time? You're asking the guy that has made his living selling dick pumps. I personally think it's worth my time, but, like, I also have a bit more, like, time to dedicate to this, right? If it is such a major insecurity for you and it's what's holding you back mentally, it's worth your time. If you think it's going to make sex better, whether it be because you're so insecure or you just like the idea of being bigger, go for it. If you're just doing this because of societal pressures, maybe don't do it, because that's not a good reason to do anything, is for the, you know, approval of others. That's always a terrible reason to do it. But in general, I've had nothing but good positive effects from PE. It has literally changed my life. I think everyone can have a lot of psychological change associated with physical change with PE if they just approach it correctly. So you probably don't need to do an hour a day. You could probably get away with doing like 20 to 30 minutes to start, and you should see significant improvements. If you want to keep going, fine. But, like, you can always pick it up again when you feel like it. Anthony, have you ever gotten injuries? And if so, what was the longest time you took off? So, like, I did have a few blisters. I did have some pelvic floor strain, but other than that, it was never anything crazy directly from PE. Now, I did have complications when I tried PRP. And if you go on my photos, you can see 2 scars on my dick. One was an open lesion. Basically, a blister formed at one of the injection sites for lidocaine. I had an adverse reaction to either lidocaine at the time or the carrier agent for lidocaine, and it made like a little blister. And since I was a psycho, I kept pumping, and it turned into like a keratinized mess where I had to, like, clean it off and then stitch it closed. And that was the only time I really had to take time off from PE, was from doing some relatively high risk stuff. If you do this right, you won't need to do that. And obviously, if you're not injecting shit into your dick, you won't have nearly as many complications as that. But, like, quite frankly, the worst thing, or what I'm trying to say is the worst part of my dick is actually the skin. Everything else is in perfect working order. It's at, like, above optimal levels for, you know, like, physically speaking. It's just the skin looks like shit because I never took care of it. So okay, there it is. If you had to choose between hanging and setting, which one do you think is better? Which one would you do if you only had one? So I've only used the Apex extender since I've gotten it. It's just a hanging replacement, right? So the weights are literally on you, or the tension's literally on you instead of hanging the weights. So, like, I can do a lot more stuff with it. I can cook while I'm wearing the extender and all that jazz. Hangers are much more cost effective. So, like, they both work fine, but I'm gonna go with, you know, high tension extender every single chance, except if I'm trying to target, like, ligaments, but I don't really do that anymore. So 6 times per week, says Mr. Tula. Just light pumping on Sundays, and then 20 minutes of air pumping, 10 minutes in the morning before bed. Okay, it's like then you're doing 30 to 45 minutes of vacuum Apex. So you're basically doing what I've been doing without the vibrations. So, like, I can tell you now, it's a good enough routine. Again, it's very easy to overcomplicate PE if you take like everything I do and try to formulate it into a condensed routine, because that means you're doing like 7 different things. So like I don't always do tunica malleability, but like if it's been like a week or so since I did PE, I'll do 5 to 10 minutes of it, and then like that relaxation comes back, and then I can actually expand. If I notice something else, I'll, you know, switch it up. But for the most part, if you're a busy individual, you can cut some of like the optional stuff. The most important stuff is going to be the pumping, the hanging, the extending. Okay, so Hitman, I know you said you're going to get the Apex on your store at some point. I want to try the male hanger and see if there's a difference. So there is a difference. It comes down to like how the pressure is applied, right? So the Apex pushes into you, right? So that isolates the pressure here and here. You get a pulling force rather than, or it's more of a spreading force rather than a pulling force. The pulling force would be one direction, spreading is going to be 2. So more of the middle of your shaft's just going to feel it by, you know, isolation and physics. So like you will feel a difference, but like by far is a completely different feel. So I think it's worth it. And like if you have issues like showing more dick as you grow, like, you know, non-bone press versus bone press, most of the time extenders will fix that. Farmer Rick, yes, the sleeves are garbage. I assume you're talking about Total Man. Replaced mine 2 times and gave up. Yeah. No comment other than just reading that. Okay. I seen another guy on here named Basim saying it's not possible to go much longer than 2 inches. Well, I gained 3. Basim actually has never gained with PE, and he hides any of his progress pictures on his OnlyFans. So he is not a reliable narrator, and he's probably the biggest prick in PE, and you should not be listening to him. Let's see. So I don't have my work phone on me, so let's see if I can get to call to BD here. So guys, a few things. Anyone in the Discord, can you post a Discord link? I might have to actually. Copy, invite people. Wait, hold on. They done goofed the coding. So this is the Discord, and then my own personal Reddit. I mean, I could just pull it up here. Cult of BD. I guess that didn't work. 1 second, guys. And then this is like the personal version of my Reddits and shit. And this is the wrong chat. There we go. So like if you want to just stay in the loop of what I'm doing, those 2 places would be a good place to start. But we are looking at Call to BD, copy past, no penises haven't gone longer. I'll pull it up on the screen here in a second. Oh, I did look at this vaguely. This is going to take too much to read right now. Yeah, it's like, what, 3-4 pages? I'll take a look later and talk about it next stream, okay? Okay, Zach. Is the 6 to 12 months on the Girth routine 2 pumping sessions a day? It says in words below, 1 before work and 1 after work, 1 before bed, which is 3. Can you give some clarification? So like if you're talking about the Ultimate Beginner's Guide, that's probably a typo, and I apologize. I'll update it when I do like a major update it. But you want to get at least your working session in, right? And then the lighter sessions are optional, but highly recommended. It's going to be what you can fit into your schedule. So like if you can do AM and PM and it doesn't like screw you over in any way, do it. Just pay attention to your erection quality. I can almost guarantee you, you will be just bigger faster because you're shape training faster. Destroyer, I noticed my review on your book bundle isn't verified for some reason. Well, if you bought like the length book and then got the Girth book, it might not be verified because of that. But we also have 2 people working on the store, like, you know, watching reviews and stuff. So we might have just not published it yet, if that's what you're actually saying. By the way, guys, if you bought one of my books, do me a solid, go to Peak Mal Physique and leave a review. It helps me out, and that way more people can get the, you know, trust behind that. That's all I really ask. But you don't have to if you don't want to. Okay, 0. Do we want to be closer to 104 or 108% expansion? I usually hit 106. So 104 for expansion is going to be the bare minimum. That means like you have no edema whatsoever. We're using length rules at that case. 108 is going to be like, okay, I do have a bit of a fluff from it, but like it's not enough to like significantly change the visuals of the dick. It's just, you know, a little blurry. So 8's going to be if you have a high edema response. 4 is going to be if you have no edema response. 6 is going to be the sweet spot. Okay. Huh? Okay. Double Dragons, what does it mean when the pressure you once used to get to your post size now hurts? So like you're saying that when you go into a pump and the pump pressure that you're using, let's say 10 inches of mercury, is hurting now, that means you either have so much tightness in the tissue that working it at that level is just excruciating pain, or that the tissue is broken down so much it can't stretch anymore, therefore you get a stress response. Or you did length work right before it, it's already stretched out, and then you try to bow it out even more. It's like breaking it down even more. So I've had all of that happen. Usually what I do is like go to the point where it's comfortable, and then I'll try to slowly work back up to like that old working pressure. But like if I can't get back to it in a week, guess what my new pressure is? That lower pressure rate. Your dick is going to adapt and change, especially after time off. You're not going to be able to stretch as easily. So like, for example, if you don't try to touch your toes for a week straight, it is much harder to touch your toes on the first couple sets when you come back to it. So it's very similar to that regard, but like it just takes some time to get back to like peak form. Okay. RGS, how was your Christmas? Could have been better. Was sick the entire time, but I'm good. Have a great 2025. I'm going to try. Since I followed you, already lost 20 pounds by eating more healthy and walk an hour every day. Want to thank you for the motivation. You are welcome. I didn't really do any fitness stuff, but you are quite welcome for motivating you to do that. Now let's hope we both can keep off that 20 pounds we lost, right? Question, what is the minimum inches of mercury I need while pumping to get more girth? And what's the maximum you would advice with or give advice for? So the working range that will cause gains is anywhere from 5 inches of mercury to 15 inches of mercury, depending on how long you've been doing PE and your like natural erection set point is how much pressure you're going to need. So like I fluctuate between 8 inches of mercury and 12 inches of mercury. Been doing it for 10 years, never had to go higher than 12. My business partner looked at some studies and said 12 inches of mercury is going to be the sweet spot for gains. But like based off of practical experience and knowledge in this, I've seen people gain as low as 5 inches of mercury, actually as low as 2.5, if I'm being completely honest, and as high as 18, 20. So like the safe range is going to be 5 to 15. We're looking for like that intense erection feel. So like think back to puberty, you had some painful erections. We want it to feel like that, tolerable, but not excruciating. Eddie, I'm now 7x6 and I started pumping. Is gaining, I'm assuming that's a 1/4 inch in length and girth realistic in 3 to 4 or 5 months. 1/4 inch in length should take 2 to 3 months, especially if you just started training length. For girth, it's going to be largely dependent on erection quality, but that's probably going to be more like 4 to 5 months. Both, that's going to be more like 6. Hector, I had porn-induced erectile dysfunction, not function, porn-induced erectile dysfunction for years and have been just cutting it for a few weeks since I stopped fapping. My erection quality is still relatively low. what else can I do besides waiting? So like, basically there's two things going on. There's like the neurological burnout from over consuming porn, and then there's going to be muscle tightness from cackling so much from all that masturbating. So like, if you do some hip stretches, particularly prayer pose, frog pose, butterflies, and then you could massage your taint as well. That should help loosen up some tension. And like, if it actually is because of those muscles, after you do those stretches and then massage the taint, you should see a significant increase in erectile function. Another issue is like, if you're constantly jerking it, you're actually really beating the shit out of those tissues. So like, they're going to be in a pretty tense state. So like, if you can teach your tunica to relax and expand again, you can gain a decent bit of size that way. Not necessarily erection quality, but like literally massage your dick semi-erect, and then you should notice it start relaxing in your hands. And that's what we're going for with that. Okay, Lazarus. Can you gain girth without just doing bundle stretches and fulcrum hanging? So girth is two things, right? It is wider collagen in the, I think it's the longitudinal bands, might be a latitude, but the whatever girth bands there are in the tunica. And then there's going to be more blood holding tissue. So it's possible that you can build more girth bands of collagen, but like, if you don't build up more blood holding tissue at the same time, you're not going to get a thicker dick. So like, you need some kind of expansion to get that blood holding tissue to build. So for you, either figure out how to clamp or use a pump along with it. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of either of those exercises. You're really just going for girth. Massage and pump is going to be your best bet. All right, guys, so I feel like we have a decent bit of people in here. I don't even know if you can hear the music in the background, but I've been trying to play music in the background for the past couple streams. At the top of the chat, there's a pinned survey. Just let me know if you wanted me to continue with the music, turn it down, what. It's a multiple choice, it'll take like 10 seconds. It'll help me out though. Okay, Zach. 4 years into PE, I've gone from 4.8 inches in girth to 5.75. Wow. I focused only on length work. I just got a pump to focus on girth. What can I expect to gain? That's pretty significant for just length training, my guy. Like, it would just depend on the time frame, but I strongly believe most people can gain like up to half an inch in girth in their first year. For you, who's already gained a decent bit, I would say probably closer to like a third of an inch, but like, you're going to be over 6 more than likely than not. And like, if it is like, some guys just are fast girth responders, right? So like, if you're just a fast girth responder, I could be completely wrong. You could be over 6 in the first 3 or 4 weeks. So I can't really give you a good answer, and I'm sorry. Okiwano. Do you think the approach of wearing a healing sleeve with soft gel cock rings is used to achieve prolonged engorgement? I've tried it. I've not found edema resulting from this even after hours. So the issue with that is safety. So like, you are compressing and you are limiting blood flow while you're keeping pressure in the tunica. So that's a very good way to get a lot of coagulated blood, discoloration, and potentially damage some nerves doing it. It might help. I just think there's more safe devices for that. So like, an all-day stretcher is practically going to do the same thing without putting a lot of pressure directly on the nerve bundle, and as well as allowing edema to leave, So like, it should work, but like, I just think there's going to be safer, more effective ways to do it. Hank, when is the next physique reveal? So I didn't even know you were in the chat, but anyway, I ate a bunch of ham and I'm slightly allergic to it, so I'm a little bloated right now. I don't know when the video is going to be, but you'll probably get a picture this weekend because you're a little weird out. But yeah, it's going to be at least another 2 weeks before like I make a nude vlog. I don't even know what I'm saying. Okay, is tunica scraping good for fibrosis? Yes. Superficial fibrosis. It's not going to really get deep into the tunica, so like if it's in the corpus cavernosum, going to be a lot harder to get, but like it's going to be very good at breaking down like potential scar tissue right on the tunica from like excessive masturbation. So tactic. All right, I was wrong about the foreskin. Meant the little skin between the shaft and tip that is redder than the rest of the D. It looked up. It's called the pericipitral glands, like the neck gland area. How do we keep that part from growing? It should grow uniform with the rest of the shaft. I think I know what you're talking about. It's kind of like frenulum. It's just like for us cut guys, our frenulum gets severed. Sometimes it doesn't though. It's going to get inflamed, but it's not going to be excessive. So just keep your total time under pressure like 30 minutes. Keep your hanging, you know, relatively short, and you shouldn't have any issues. Okay, increase your value. Can hypertonic pelvic floor hinder gains? Yes. So like the pelvic floor controls the ins and outs, right? So like if you have a tight flaccid, or you know, more accurately, a tight ischio-cavernous muscle, that means less blood can get into the tissue. Therefore, that's going to impact healing. And then we're going to have more difficulty expanding. Therefore, we're not going to necessarily be able to pump as much. And then if we're always tight and shriveled, we are going to be basically training to stay in that tight shriveled shape. So like even if we are building new tissue, it's going to be in this tighter form rather than the long elongated form that we want if we want a bigger, longer penis, right? So yes, hypertonic pelvic floor is something you should try to be treating, and I'll have more content when I can actually, you know, talk normally and go from there. Okay, Sam, my foreskin is getting more sore from pumping. Does that mean I need to take a break? It's getting more itchy than normal because of the high pressure. Is this okay? So like you could be breaking some blood vessels in the foreskin. Like if you're feeling that itchiness, I would dial back the pressure a little bit, see if the itchiness still happens. And then if it's not, there was your issue. But if you take a week off, come back, no itchiness, that means whatever the issue was healed. But like also itchiness in general for PE is a bit of a sign of the growth, because that means you irritated the skin enough that the skin's growing. So it's more likely than not that the dick's gonna grow with it. So since I'm not pumping for this week, and it's a deload, not a deconditioning, 20 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes of 20 minutes in the morning of hanging with massages and 20 minutes at night of hanging. Is that good for decon? So like decon, you do nothing. Deload, you do like a third of your workload. If we're talking like from a bodybuilding perspective, what you're doing, you're just cutting out pumping. This is not a deload. But okay, J Bets. While I haven't taken a break to reset, I have adjusted my routines per your suggestions. Notice the difference already. Thanks. You are welcome. It does make me happy to see that. Huh? Okay, so since you moved up a cylinder size, it feels like I had a knot that got released, so I'll be able to fill up the pump by May if I have no setbacks. That's muscle? Like, are you meaning like in your dick or in your pelvis? And Dashatorius, I don't know if I saw your question. Like, unless it was about the averages, then I did look at it. I'm not going to be able to read it on stream in a fast manner, so I'll take a look at it before tomorrow's stream and then talk about it. Okay. Can I still gain length after getting numb every extending session? You should be fine. I will, particularly in the beginning, my glands would be just a tad numb afterwards, but it comes back in 10 to 15 minutes. The main thing you don't want is contraction. So like a bit of numbness might be common loss of sensation just because you're pulling on it, your nerves are freaking out, and then what the body tells them to do is like, okay, we're just going to ignore you, and then they'll reset after a bit. But it's not something you should really worry about. Flies in soup. I don't hear anything. I'll play around with the audio tomorrow, guys. Where is chat? There we go. Okay, Eddie. Going to Miami, new beach with my girl. Been before, but now 20 pounds lighter and started pumping 3 weeks ago. Can't wait. Well, you got 6 months to get even bigger and even leaner. So let's see what you can do. I don't know if I'd be able to go to a nude beach because I'm still too self-conscious. And it's more so that I'm worried about getting a boner on the beach than, like, you know, people judging my size or whatever. Oh, Dashatories, I did look at it. It's too long for me to read on stream. Let's see. Mario, what kind of massage breaks up fibrotic buildup? Basically all kinds of massage, but it's like, in particular, you're doing like a pinpoint massage on the shaft. I don't have a sleeve on me. Actually, I do, because I plan now. But like, it's literally just going to be pressing down slowly and deeply. And like, obviously, if you feel any discomfort, you don't go any more so than the original discomfort you felt. Yeah, it's really that simple. There's like, you know, you can do tunica shears too with, you know, gua sha blade or something like that. You can also do like semi-erect bends. Look up tunica malleability, tunica release here on Reddit, on my YouTube channel, all that. You'll get a lot of information, more than you probably actually need. Okay, Mario, so what's the only way to break up fibrotic buildup in the corpus cavernosum? Pumping. So pumping will, but like, what I'm saying is with like tunica shears, you're only going to be able to get the surface because you're not causing like any stress to the internals of the penis. So like deep pressing will do that, right? Because like you're actually pushing into the corpus cavernosum. And then with like bends, we are actively stretching the insides of our dick doing something like this, right? So like, if you are trying to break up as much corpus cavernosum fibrosis, you want to do like 5 minutes of that massage along with like 5 minutes of semi-erect bends, and then you want to pump for like 15 minutes, 3 sets of 5 at pressures no greater than 10 inches of mercury. And then you don't touch it. You could use like an all-day stretcher to keep it from like, you know, reforming in that, you know, tighter, tense state, but it will break down fibrosis. Okay, so ZJK and Hot Sunshine, we have to play by YouTube's rules. So if you say anything remotely over the top sexually, so like cock, dick, balls, you got to be a bit more creative. If you're talking about sex, same idea. So, Z Diddy, do you think gaining girth will make length gains hard in the future? No, it's just bullshit. I'm not at my length goal yet, but I feel like I should switch focus, and I really enjoy the new pump. So like, I went from 7.5 to by 5.5, and then I got up to 8 by 6, and now I'm 9 by 6, right? I saw no apparent difference in difficulty. If anything, it got bigger the thicker I got, just because there was more tissue to work with. So trust me, anyone that says that you need more work is only looking at it from a physics perspective. But like, their argument is that since the dick is 20% thicker, it needs 20% more weight. Well, guess what? If we're only doing 5 pounds of tension, we only need an additional pound of force to like stretch out the dick. So like, we're talking 2 to 3 pounds at most for intermediate guys to actually see that stretch at the same rate, even though our dicks are thicker. It is nonsense, and this is why you should only be listening to people that know biology rather than physics. Okay. JB. I did pumping today with near infrared light, and the expansion was crazy. No edema. It looked like my D went through a hyperbolic time chamber. I'm not sure if that's a Dragon Ball reference, but okay. I will look at getting one. Happy. Mainly I'm looking for the discoloration prevention and treatment, but like, if I can get twice the expansion in 10 minutes, you know, so like 20 minutes of expansion in 10 minutes, definitely worth the time. And I'm always looking at things to get for peak male physique and, you know, keep pushing it. But, you know. Philip. I asked about sizing up cylinders. He said, I'm 80% full. Can you elaborate? I'm unclear if it's 80% of my member's diameter or the length of the cylinder. So if you are packing 80% of the tube, right? So like your shaft itself is touching 80% of the way around. So like you're 6 inches long, 5 inches of the shaft is completely touching. You definitely need a big cylinder. If you could touch the sides of the cylinder within 10 to 15 minutes of pumping, you definitely need a bigger cylinder. So like it's not about the cylinder size unless you're like trying to do length pumping. I really don't recommend it. I always talk about pumps in terms of girth because that's what they're best for. Okay, Race, any tips on gland sensitivity? Are you cut or uncut? First and foremost, you want to limit how much abrasion and contact your glands have with the outside world. So like they make glands caps that you can put over your dick or, you know, your glands, and they won't rub against your underwear. Therefore, they'll be more sensitive because the skin's just not getting nearly as much sensation. This is going to be like a mid-term ideal. It'll take like a month or two to really notice. Then keep them moisturized. It's going to be one of the main things for sensitivity in the skin. Healthy skin allows for better transduction of the nerve endings. So that would be another thing. And then masturbate, but don't ejaculate should make you a lot more sensitive. So like edging and then not releasing is going to just put you more sensitive with that. I've also noticed, and this is just a product plug, that Fortitude makes me a lot more sensitive very quickly. So this might be totally anecdotal, so like don't take my word for it, but like it might be worth your while if you're looking for that. I just noticed a lot more fullness with it, and then it's more sensitivity with it as well. So Mikael, gained 3/8 of an inch pumping in 8 months. My member feels heavier, of course, though. I've noticed it doesn't stand as straight as it used to. Is this an erection quality or pelvic floor issue? I'm also uncut when erect. My thing looks like an elephant trunk. Is that normal? So like your foreskin can be pretty significantly long, right? As long as it doesn't like impede sex in any way, you're good to go. Now, for erection angle drop, that might actually be a bit of a posture thing more than anything else, because like your erection quality should be increasing with pumping, right? Like for me, my dick has a relatively significant droop now since I got so much bigger, but like if I'm rock hard, it's pointing straight out. If I flex my legs a bit, it points straighter out, if not a little bit up. But like if I'm like at an 80 to 90% erection, it starts drooping down just because of the weight of it. So that could be it. Everyone's built a little bit differently, but like I don't really think it's something to worry about, especially if it has like the same mobility. But like, you know, it's hard to make the erection angle increase because you actually have to remove like ligament to do more, or to increase erection length or angle. Sorry, got completely sidetracked there. But yeah, so I mean, what you could technically do is do a bunch of straight out work, and then hopefully that ligament insertion point slowly works up the shaft a little bit, and then your dick's going to point a little bit higher up. But like, to me, it's not really worth the effort. Okay, Hot Sunshine. Why does my size change when standing up and lying down? So first, there's more muscle activation standing up. So like you might have to work harder to stand up for posture because you have like a weird muscle imbalance, right? That alone can make it harder to be fully erect. But like, let me stand up to show this, and hopefully I'm not too obscene right now. If you're, hold on. So like your hips, depending on where they go, will change what pressures on your pelvic floor, right? So like if your pelvic floor is tight because you have anterior pelvic tilt, you won't be able to get as hard. But as soon as you lay down and your butt's actually going to go under you a bit, that removes anterior pelvic tilt, you can be a lot harder that way. Now, if it's smaller laying down, that's going to be more so like a blood pressure thing than anything else, because like it's just because gravity's helping you get blood to your dick. So if you can't fill your dick out laying down, it's because it's just too much work for your dick to fully push out against your dick. But it also could be a pelvic floor issue just because of how you're laying. Hold on. Scott B, going into pump dry, how do you not stick to the sides? You need lube. It's just how this works. There are so many options for lube. I recommend like a coconut oil or like body lotion, but like you will need something because it's acrylic with skin. Skin's relatively tacky, and then acrylic's pretty dry, so it just sticks and it hurts, and you could hurt your skin if you're not careful. So please get some lube. Even like fucking spit works in a pinch if you're nasty, but okay. ZJK, looking to cell stretching. That's a relatively outdated theory, but I was wondering how my hard, soft eggplant would have to be. So like, for people that don't know, cell stretching was the idea that basically we can get more stem cell activity by stretching the stem cells directly, right? So like, if we're stretching our flaccid PP, it's going to be harder for us to put force directly on the stem cells because they're kind of just meandering in the collagen weave. The collagen weave is meant to take all the force. Therefore, the stem cells don't really feel it. So like, we need to be somewhat expanded to actually get the stem cells to feel the stretch. And the more I talk about it, the more it makes sense right off the top of my head. But I really haven't thought about this in like a year at this point. So what I've told people to do is get semi-erect and then do some like these. Okay, that was Paul's stretching. I did it for maybe 2 weeks and then stopped doing it. If you're trying to implement it, maybe do 3 to 5 minutes of it before you move on to like an actual manual stretch. So like, you know, you're like 1 minute holds. Basically, if you're looking at the interval length protocol layout, replace the interval length protocol, so the intervals at the beginning, the 10 1-minute sets, with those cell stretches instead for 5 to 10 minutes. And that's going to be basically the difference. But like, I think vibration therapy is better for like stem cell activation based off the research. Okay, Scott B, when will PMP get an extender? I've been talking to my good friend about this, and it's just a matter of time when he gets this stuff in, manufactured and sent to me. So like, I haven't really talked to him about it this week, but like, you know, I should be meeting him in person, Apex Massive Novelties Perv. There we go. About it, but you know, I'm not really trying to rush it because I have so many other things going on. Like, it's a priority, but I have a lot of other priorities at the moment too. So Nate T, dang, I need a bigger cylinder like 2 weeks ago. Yeah, so I mean, that's the fun part though, is like, you know, you're progressing if you need bigger equipment. It's like just getting bigger weights. Like, oh shit, I need, you know, 225 on the bar instead of 200. But Dakuza, is there a different outcome when you pump for 5 2-minute intervals versus 10 1 minute or even 20 minutes or 20 half minutes? So you're saying there, okay, there's a difference between dilation, that's what I call it, in intervals training, right? So dilation is just keeping that expansion for like 5 to 10 minute sets, and then what we're trying to do is stay as bloated as long as possible with that. With interval pumping, what we're trying to do is break down as much collagen as we can to elicit as much growth response. So fatigue based training for collagen production is going to be intervals, and then dilation based training is going to be for shape change. If you want the perfect mix or the perfect routine, you probably need the mix of both, so that way you get the high growth response and you get the high shape change response. Now, going as low as 30 seconds on intervals doesn't really match the research that I saw. And that peak elongation of a collagen fibril happens around 45 seconds. So 30 seconds is cutting it a bit short. It will work. I would not go any lower than 30 seconds. Now with stretching though, that window can be anywhere from 30 minutes to 90 seconds. Interval pumping was made when I was still using like a manual hand pump. So 2 minutes was a good cutoff time between, you know, constantly doing this for 30 minutes and like actually getting the sets that you need to get the kind of relaxation you need from it. Okay, Miguel, thank you so much. I thought I was overworking, though I pump once a day because of the time at 8 micron. I'm not sure what 8 micron is, but you're welcome. So Diddy, I think we have 2 Diddies, Z Diddy. Right now my routine is sheets, is BFR with tunica shears, okay, and then interval pumping 10 1-minute sets, PM, and then interval pumping 10 minutes with retention 20 minutes, pumping for bed, 7 2 minutes with progressive overload. So what I would kind of push you to do is switch one of those to be more of a dilation based training. So like instead of doing 10 1-minute sets, do 1 10-minute set, because that way you get the bloat that you need to like get the shape to stick a bit better. And then you can do the fatigue based training as well, because if you're constantly doing fatigue based training, you're just going to fatigue the dick faster. So we need a good balance between like actual bloat and then the breakdown of the tissue. Hopefully producing a 4 clip is getting on the priority list as well. I would be happy to give PMP money. So there's a lot of products we can add, but there's only so much capital we have at the beginning, right? Also, I don't know how much of a market for skin restoration is, because like if you just look at r/getting bigger versus for skin restoration is like 140 versus 40 to 50,000 off the top of my head. So like we're talking 1/3 less of the customers. Now, knowing me, I could clearly make the market and just, you know, sell you on the fact of it, but that's not really like the end goal. All right, guys, unless there's not any more questions after this, I'm probably going to head out to save my voice for tomorrow. But let's see. And would a warm-up before each individual session be best than throughout the day? We're talking about the many interval pumping sessions. So your main workload should have the warm-up. Like you could probably do it right in the morning if you really wanted to, but like when you're pumping the most is when you should have the warm-up, because that way you get the most expansion from your biggest part of the routine. But no, not every single session needs it. And honestly, if you plan it out right, you would only need some tunica release once or twice a week, because that tissue's so beat down that it's already like relaxed, and that way you can expand it very easily again. Okay, ZGK. Thank you so much, that helps. Okay, just another question. I was looking to purchasing an ADS. Would you recommend this? If so, what type? And would this help with length? So, again, there's 2 different types of stimulus that you can do. Low tension and high tension. High tension actually causes growth. Low tension is better for shape change. So, I would use an all-day stretcher after I use my high tension wear. So like I use the Apex extender, for example, but like if you want to save some money, just get a hanger in the all-day stretcher strap at Peak Male Physique. We call it the retention kit. And that way you can get the elongation, keep the elongation, and that way you're more likely to stay in that shape as you heal throughout the week. So I do think it's helpful, but like it is not going to be very successful on its own. Peak Male Physique, not Peak Male Physical, but yes. And Droloscapes, awesome content. When I sit, I feel retraction. What do you recommend to stay extended? So, if you sit and feel retraction, I'm trying to think. That's, if you like, all right, I'm gonna try to get this on camera for you guys. So like, he is probably arching his back a lot and is pushing his pelvis back. You could, like, it's not going to be rocking forward, it's going to be pushing back. So what you need to do is learn to sit more on your thighs rather than your butt, and that should help a bit with that retraction. Also, try to sit wider as well, because that's going to release some pelvic floor pressure. Okay, Scumpy. Hanging and pumping are basically the same thing. No. So hanging is going to be particularly for length. It might help erection quality, but all you're doing is stretching in one direction, therefore you're going to be gaining in one direction. With pumping, you are first working more of the blood holding tissues, so it's going to be a lot better for erection quality and girth. And additionally, since it is a pressure vacuum, you're going to be working all dimensions of your dick, but since most of the volume of your dick is in the area of it, you're going to be training the girth a lot more. So if you're just looking for the biggest change possible, get a pump, work on erection quality, work on getting the girth. If you want to get length, you're going to need to either use your hands, a hanger, or an extender. Okay, so I'm going to wrap it up here, guys. Just so I have a voice for tomorrow. 2 p.m. Eastern again. I don't even know what day it is. It's Thursday, so it's going to be a Friday stream, and then it'll be probably normal activities come Monday 2 p.m. you know, blah blah blah. But yeah, all right, I will see you guys tomorrow, hopefully. Thanks for